Hello everyone, welcome to another instructional video. In this video, I'll be showing you how I'm making the smooth texture of Angelina Jolie's skin on her forehead. What I usually do to create a smooth skin effect is use some charcoal powder and a makeup brush and just apply it evenly that way. However, her skin in this picture is so light that I found it almost impossible to use that technique and have it look even, because you can really only go so light when it comes to charcoal, even if you're just using just a little bit of dust of charcoal on that brush. So what I'm trying out in this drawing is just using graphite to create this effect. Now, instead of using graphite powder to try to create the smooth skin, which again would be very similar to charcoal powder, it would be quite difficult to go as light as you want to go and have it look even. So what I'm doing instead is I'm using an HB pencil, and any HB pencil really would do the trick. A good option to use would be Staedtler Mars Lumograph pencils. In this video, I'm using the Staedtler Mars Technico Mechanical Pencil, HB. What you see me doing here is I'm making little circles and trying to apply a layer of graphite evenly as possible to the page using just the graphite pencil. And I do this in maybe 1 or 2 square inch spots at once. And then I go in afterwards with a Kleenex or tissue paper and blend in that graphite layer that I just applied to the page with the pencil. Before filming this video, I tried using the tissue paper dipped in some charcoal powder, very little bit of charcoal powder, to see if I could just apply it to the page smoothly with just the tissue paper, and it was coming out blotchy. So I found, at least so far that I'm aware of, the best way to do this, as you can see here, is to just add a little rough layer of the graphite with the pencil. And perhaps it's hard to see in this video, but it does look quite rough before you go in with the tissue paper to blend it in. However, if you repeat this process of applying a little bit of a layer of graphite with the pencil and then coming in and smoothing it out with the tissue paper, you will achieve a smooth texture for the skin. Now, even doing it this way isn't going to guarantee that it's going to be perfectly even and smooth and no blotches or slightly darker spots in some areas. However, what I'm doing through this whole process here is I'm trying to pay as close attention as I can to little areas of the forehead that appear slightly darker or slightly lighter than the other areas of the forehead. And I'm then going back into those spots with yet another layer of graphite with the pencil, and then blending that in again. So just because you've applied the graphite this way to one spot and then blended it in, doesn't guarantee that you're not going to have to come back to that spot later if you start to notice that there's a slight darker or lighter spot in that area. You very well may have to come back and add multiple layers until you're satisfied with just how smooth and even it looks across the entire forehead or whatever skin that you're working on at the moment. And you might even notice that the skin tones across this forehead aren't entirely even or smooth throughout. You see some spots that are slightly darker, slightly lighter, and it still looks a little bit blotchy and not entirely realistic as what a very smooth skin texture might really look like. But that's totally fine. We've got all the time in the world to keep working on it, to keep coming back to areas that we want to improve, keep adding more layers, and eventually it will look the way that you want it to look. All you have to do is be patient. And that brings me to another point. You know, when it comes to drawing, you just have to be in the moment, in the process. It's almost like a meditative Zen state. If you find yourself wondering why it's not looking the way you want it to look and you're X amount of hours into it already, this is not the right mindset to be in. Enjoy the process, be patient, don't focus on how long it's going to take you to finish it. It'll be done exactly when it'll be done. And really the most important thing I think it is to focus on the task, how many hours you're putting into your work. Not necessarily how long it's going to take, but rather how many hours am I putting into this on a daily basis. Now, before I go off on too large of a drawing mindset tangent here, what you're watching me do here is just adding some very subtle white highlights on the forehead using the Tombow Mono Zero Precision Eraser. Now, you don't want to add these very subtle white highlights into the skin until you're completely satisfied with how even the tone is of the skin across the entire forehead or whatever area you're working on. And at the moment of filming this footage, I really felt that the skin texture was almost completely smooth and even throughout. So that's why I'm going in and adding some of the white highlights. But now that I'm recording the voiceover for this video, I can see that it's not as even as I would like it to be. And I'm actually going to have to go back in and rework some of these spots with a few more layers here and there, following the steps I explained in this video, such as adding a rough layer of graphite with the pencil as evenly as you can, and then blending it in gently with the tissue paper. One more thing that I should mention is you should be careful not to use the same tissue paper too frequently, at least in the same spot. Every time you use the tissue paper to blend the graphite in, you should use a fresh spot on that tissue paper, because if you're using a dirty part of that tissue paper, it's going to create a blotchiness. It has to be perfectly clean. The last few minutes of this video just show me adding some of those lighter textures to the forehead with the Tombow eraser. Well, I hope you guys got something from this video. I hope you all learned a thing or two. Hopefully you can use some of these techniques on one of your own drawings. And of course, be sure to send me a message on Instagram or directly on Patreon if you have any ideas for future content or requests for future content. I'm always looking to make better and better videos for you guys, and I'm always open to suggestions. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.